Today I'm going to give you some warning signs when buying property and some things that are really not warning signs that people always think are warning signs. And I'm going to get started right now. Hey everyone, my name's Jamie Pretzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami and Miami Beach, and today I'm going to talk about some warning signs and not so warning signs that you need to know about when you're buying real estate in our area. If this is your first time here and you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another update. I do put out new videos every single week. Also, in the information box, I have provided for you a free relocation guide. Make sure you click on that, download that today so you can learn more about buying in our area. I'll also add you to our weekly newsletter so you never miss another update. Okay, let's get started. The first thing that you need to know that could be a warning sign but is maybe not a warning sign is the days on market. Now, in my MLS, when I go and look at the property history of a listing, I can see how many times the property has been on and off the market with different agents, if it's been under contract, if it came back on the market, just the overall property history. I can even go into the tax records and go deep into the property history. But mainly I'm looking at sort of what's going on right now with the current listing. Sometimes people will say to me, hey Jamie, how long has the property been listed? And if it's a longer time period than the average time it takes to sell a home in that area, that may be a red flag. Or it may just be that the seller has not been super motivated about getting that property sold. Or it could be there is something wrong with the price, the condition, and the location, and those things are just not lining up to equal a good sale in today's market. One thing that's very important to know, especially if you're looking at luxury properties in our area, it's very important to look at the average time it takes a home to sell in our area or in the neighborhood where you're really looking and focusing on buying a property. Some luxury properties do take time to sell. I know I speak with some of my friends out in California, and their days on market are very important to them there. And properties sell very quickly out there when they get listed. Our super luxury properties here often take a little bit longer to sell. So you just have to understand the market conditions and the information and the market data for that specific neighborhood in Miami and Miami Beach so that you can make a good decision about the days on market and if it makes sense. And if not, then it's time to start asking some questions about what's going on with the property. The next thing that could be a big warning sign that you should really pay attention to is the traffic around that neighborhood. Sometimes some neighborhoods get very busy during rush hour, and then maybe when you're looking at the property off the rush hour time, it seems like a very quiet neighborhood. But when you drive through during rush hour, it could be back to back, bumper to bumper, busy, noisy traffic. So always make sure that you really look and scope out the neighborhood. Pay attention to the streets, the side streets, the back streets. Some neighborhoods, like in Miami Shores, have little streets behind the actual property. So you want to always go behind, peek behind, and see what's going on. Drive through that neighborhood in the evenings and at different times of the day so you can see if there are any noise concerns that create red flags for you, because there's nothing worse than buying in a neighborhood if you are a noise intolerant person and that neighborhood being louder than what you can live with on a day-to-day basis. Other warning signs that you really need to pay attention to are the insurance related items on the property. I talk about this a lot because it's one thing that people often glance over, and things that can create issues in getting insurance can create issues in you actually being able to close on the property and get financing. So warning signs, red flags could be a really old roof, a bad electrical system, a bad HVAC system or old HVAC system, impact related items. You know, we can really get into a lot of detail with that, and a home inspector can help you get into more detail with that. But warning signs to me are properties that have just not been well taken care of over the years, because just the expenses can add up and add up and add up. Another kind of weird warning sign with a property is if you are trying to get into the property and it's very hard to see, maybe a tenant is creating an issue, or possibly the owner is creating some weird issue that is creating an issue with access. To me, that's a big red flag, and typically a red flag that they are not motivated to get the property sold. I realize in today's market we do have very sensitive situations with the COVID situation, and so we do have to be very careful with that. But if a seller is just not allowing access for some other reason, not because of that and not because of some sensitivity issue around that, you really need to take that into consideration and see if maybe they're not really that motivated to get a property sold. Sometimes there's internal issues of why a property has to be on the market, but maybe they don't really want to sell the property. So just always keep that in mind. You don't want to be dealing with a seller who is not motivated. Okay, that's it. Those are all of my warning signs when buying a property. We can go into further warning signs in regards to inspections during a buyer consultation. If you have more questions, always feel free to reach out to me, and I will see you soon.